Hello students, welcome to my third lecture on electrochemistry. In the previous lecture, you have studied numericals on molar conductivity. Today, we will study variation of conductivity and molar conductivity with concentration. Kohlrock's law, its application, relation between molar conductivity and degree of dissociation, and measurement of conductivity and the types of cells. Today's first point begins with variation of conductivity with concentration. The electrolytic conductivity is electrical conductance of unit volume 1 centimeter cube of a solution. It depends on the number of current carrying ions present in unit volume of solution. On dilution, total number of ions increase as a result of increased degree of dissociation. In 11th science, you have studied about degree of dissociation. What is degree of dissociation? The fraction of total number of moles of an electrolyte dissociated in its aqueous solution when equilibrium is attained is called degree of dissociation. It is denoted by the letter alpha. The third point under variation continues as an increase in total number of ions is not in the proportion of dilution. Therefore, the number of ions per unit volume of solution decreases. This results in the decrease of conductivity with decrease in the concentration of solution. Now we will learn about variation of molar conductivity with concentration. The molar conductivity is the electrical conductance of 1 mole of an electrolyte in a given volume of solution. The increasing number of ions produced in the solution by 1 mole of the electrolyte led to increased molar conductivity. Now let us study variation of molar conductivity with concentration. Molar conductivity varies with, that is, varies means changes with the concentration of strong and weak electrolytes. Now for strong electrolytes, molar conductivity increases rapidly with dilution with limiting value 0.001 molar or 0.0001 molar. Dilution has no effect on molar conductivity thereafter. The maximum value of molar conductivity is at zero concentration or at infinite dilution, which is denoted as lambda 0. At infinite dilution, the solution is so dilute that further dilution does not increase the molar conductivity. During 19th century, Kohlrock showed that the molar conductivity of strong electrolyte changes with the square root of concentration. He put forth an equation as lambda is equal to lambda 0 minus a root c, or lambda is equal to lambda 0 minus ac raised to 1/2, where a is equal to constant, c molar concentration. You know what is lambda? It is molar conductivity of the given strong electrolyte. And what is lambda 0? It is molar conductivity of the same electrolyte at zero concentration or at infinite dilution. Then, with the help of a graph, Kohlrock has put forth that for strong electrolytes, a plot of lambda versus root C is linear. In this particular graph which is plotted lambda versus square root of concentration of the electrolyte, we find both electrolytes have been represented. The graph for strong electrolyte appears to be almost linear, whereas for a weak electrolyte it is not linear. Thus, Kolrock concluded that this method is applicable only for strong electrolyte and not for weak electrolyte because the graph obtained is not linear. For weak electrolytes, lambda increases with dilution rapidly. At 0.001 molar or 0.001 molar, lambda is less than lambda 0. Therefore, this method cannot be used for weak electrolytes as the graph of lambda versus root C is not linear. The next point that you are going to study today is Kolrock's law of independent migration of ions. Let us first see the statement. At infinite dilution of the solution, each ion of an electrolyte migrates independently of its co-ions and contributes independently to the total molar conductivity of that electrolyte, irrespective of the nature of the other ions present in the solution. Mathematically, Kolrock law can be represented as lambda 0 is equal to n plus lambda 0 plus n minus lambda 0 minus, where lambda 0 plus and lambda 0 minus are molar conductivities of cation and anion respectively, while n plus and n minus are number of moles of cation and anion respectively. Explanation. Both the ions, that is cation and the anion of the electrolyte, make a definite contribution to the molar conductivity of the electrolyte at infinite dilution, that is 0 concentration. If lambda 0 plus and lambda 0 minus are molar ionic conductivities of cation and anion respectively at infinite dilution, then lambda 0 is equal to lambda 0 plus lambda 0 minus. This is known as Kolrock's law of independent migration of ions. This point is very important regarding exam point of view, state board point of view. 2 marks question or on the statement at least 1 mark question can be asked. Next we shift to applications of Kolrock's theory. This question can also be asked for 2 marks. Question can appear as write the applications of Kolrock's theory. Now let us see the first application. The theory can be used to calculate the molar conductivity of an electrolyte at 0 concentration. Example, if lambda 0 KCl is considered, then it should be equal to small lambda 0 K plus small lambda 0 Cl minus. That means ionic conductivities of K plus and Cl minus in moles, if known, we can find the total molar conductivity of KCl. Another example of barium hydroxide is taken here. So lambda 0 BaOH twice is equal to lambda 0 Ba2 plus 2 times lambda 0 OH minus. If we know the molar conductivities of ions at infinite dilution, the lambda 0 values of the electrolyte taken can be obtained. Second application, the theory is particularly useful in calculating lambda 0 values of weak electrolytes from those of strong electrolytes. For example, lambda 0 of acetic acid is a weak electrolyte, can be calculated by knowing the lambda 0 values of strong electrolytes like HCl, sodium chloride and sodium acetate, which can be represented mathematically as lambda 0 HCl plus lambda 0 CH3COONA minus lambda 0 NaCl, that is equal to lambda 0 H plus lambda 0 Cl minus plus lambda 0 CH3COO minus plus lambda 0 Na plus minus lambda 0 Na plus minus lambda 0 Cl minus, which proceeds as lambda 0 H plus lambda 0 CH3COO minus, that is equal to lambda 0, that is molar conductivity at infinite dilution for acetic acid. Thus, we can represent lambda 0 CH3COH is equal to lambda 0 HCl plus lambda 0 CH3COONA minus lambda 0 NaCl. Because lambda 0 values of strong electrolytes, that is HCl, sodium acetate and NaCl, can be determined by extrafoliation method, lambda 0 values of, that is of acetic acid, can be determined. Next, we will study the relation between molar conductivity and degree of dissociation of weak electrolyte. We should know only the relation. There is no need of derivation. Relation alpha is equal to lambda C upon lambda 0. What do you mean by lambda C? Lambda C is equal to molar conductivity of weak electrolyte at concentration C, and lambda 0 is equal to molar conductivity of weak electrolyte at 0 concentration. Alpha is equal to degree of dissociation of the taken weak electrolyte. While solving numericals, we also require another important formula which we have studied in 11th science based on Ostwald's dilution law for a weak electrolyte, that is K is equal to alpha square C upon 1 minus alpha, where K is equal to dissociation constant. We shift to the next point now, that is measurement of conductivity. In order to measure conductivity and molar conductivity of the given solution, we require to apply Wheatstone bridge principle. We also need a conductivity cell. So first let us see what is a conductivity cell. To the right we find the figure of the conductivity cell. The cell consists of a glass tube with 2 platinum plates that are coated with thin layer of finely divided platinum called platinum black. Platinum black can be obtained by electrolysis of solution of chloroplatinic acid. The cell is to be dipped in the solution whose resistance is to be measured. Yesterday you have studied about cell constant. You know about cell constant. It is the ratio of distance between the electrodes to the area of cross section of those electrodes. So the two important formulas we should know. Cell constant is equal to B is equal to L by A, and cell constant upon, that is B upon R, cell constant upon resistance, that is equal to electrolytic conductivity, that is K. Now determination of cell constant using Wheatstone bridge principle. To the right side we find the figure of the Wheatstone bridge principle. In the figure we find AB is a uniform slide wire. Rx is variable of known resistance. D is a current detector. This F is a sliding contact. AC, source of alternating current. And C is a balance point. Now let us see the construction. The cell constant can be determined by using either 1 molar or 0.1 molar or 0.001 molar KCl solution. The conductivity of KCl is known at various temperatures. The resistance of KCl solution is determined by Wheatstone-Bridge principle. Now in the figure we find AB is a uniform slide wire. Rx, which is variable known resistance, is placed in one arm of the Wheatstone bridge. The conductivity cell dipped in the solution of KCl of known resistance is placed in the other arm. D is a current detector. F is a sliding contact that moves along AB. AC is a source of alternating current. Working. The sliding contact is moved along the wire AB till no current flows as shown by the detector D. Suppose the balance point C is obtained. What is the balance point? It is also called as null point. It is the point that is noted on the wire AB where current does not flow at all. Then length AC and length BC are measured. Now let us see the calculations. According to Wheatstone-Bridge principle, resistance of the solution upon resistance of AC is equal to Rx, that is unknown resistance, upon resistance of BC. Let us call this as equation number 1. Now you know that resistance of the conductor is directly proportional to length. So resistance of AC is equal to length AC and resistance of BC is equal to length of BC. So equation 1 becomes resistance of solution upon length AC is equal to Rx upon length BC. Let us call this as equation number 2. Now rearranging this equation 2, we get resistance of solution is equal to Rx multiplied by length AC upon length BC. Let us call this as equation number 3. Now measuring length AC, length BC and knowing Rx, the resistance of KCl can be determined. Conductivity of KCl solution is known at particular temperature. So cell constant B can be determined by taking the product of K KCl and resistance of the solution. We can determine electrolytic conductivity K by taking the ratio of cell constant and resistance of solution. You already know molar conductivity can be calculated by taking the formula lambda is equal to 1000 K upon C. The next point is types of cells. So now we are going to study about electrochemical cells. They consist of two metal plates or non-metal rods, that is carbon or graphite rods. They are dipped into an electrolytic or ionic conductor. Electrochemical reactions. Electrochemical reactions are made up of oxidation and reduction half reactions. The net cell reaction is the sum of these half cell oxidation and half cell reduction reactions. Now what are electrodes? They are surfaces on which oxidation and reduction half reactions take place. Another type of electrodes are inert electrodes. These electrodes are generally used to bring electrical contact for gas electrodes. They do not take part in the reaction. For example, if hydrogen gas electrode is used or chlorine gas electrode is used or oxygen gas electrode is used in order to provide electrical contact, Platinum is used as an inert electrode. Now let us see what is cathode. An electrode where reduction takes place is called a cathode. Anode is another type of electrode that is where oxidation takes place. Now the types of electrochemical cells. The first one is electrolytic cell. Define electrolytic cell. Such type of a question can be asked for board exam for 1 mark. The definition is carried out as follows. It is a cell in which a non-spontaneous reaction of electrolysis occurs by passing direct current from an external source into the solution. In electrolytic cell, this is very important. Anode is positive and cathode is negative. In this cell, electrical energy is converted into chemical energy. This reaction conducted in electrolytic cell is electrolysis. It is called non-spontaneous. It is a non-spontaneous reaction. Spotak nasleली. Next is galvanic or voltaic cell. This type of a cell is a spontaneous chemical reaction in which chemical energy is converted into electrical energy. In this particular cell, a spontaneous chemical reaction is said to appear where chemical energy is converted into electrical energy. Here we find anode is negative whereas cathode is positive. Exactly reverse behavior of the electrodes, both of electrolytic cell and galvanic cell. So you remember that. Now let us study electrolytic cell in detail. Electrolytic cell. In the figure we see a container in which the electrolyte, that is NaCl, is taken. You can take any electrolyte, but it should be either in molten state or it should be in aqueous state, because dry salts never conduct electric current, and therefore if they do not ionize, they won't be able to conduct electrolysis. So electrolysis can be explained further as we find again 2 electrodes are immersed in the electrolyte taken, and then those electrodes are connected to direct source of current, that is towards a battery. Now anode, which is positively charged electrode, is connected to positive terminal, whereas cathode, which is negatively charged electrode, is connected to the negative terminal of that battery. At anode, a species oxidizes with the removal of electrons, whereas at cathode, species gains electrons and gets reduced. We find here anode, Cl minus get deposited. First of all, NaCl ionizes, and then the transfer of Na plus and Cl minus ions take place across the oppositely charged electrodes. So negatively charged ion chloride, they get deposited on the anode, which is positively charged electrode, and positively charged cations, that is Na plus, get deposited on the negatively charged electrode, that is cathode. Now these electrons migrate from anode to cathode through an external metallic circuit. So in the figure we can see the flow of electrons is from the positively charged electrode to negatively charged electrode, that is from anode to cathode through external circuit. Now define electrolysis. The process of breaking down, that is decomposition of an ionic compound in molten state or in aqueous solution by passage of electricity is called electrolysis. In order to study the concept of electrolysis, let us first see the electrolysis of molten NaCl. Now here in the figure you can see a glass container is taken. In this, electrolyte taken is fused, that is molten NaCl, and two graphite electrodes are immersed in it. They are connected by metallic wires to the source of direct current, that is a battery. Now working, when current will flow, the battery forces electrons from anode to cathode. The reactions taking place are initially NaCl, which is in molten state, will first ionize to give Na plus and Cl minus, that is 2 times NaCl liquid gives 2 times Na plus plus 2 times Cl minus. At cathode, what is cathode? It is negatively charged electrode. Na plus ions will gain the electrons that are produced at the anode to form sodium metal. So twice Na plus gain 2 electrons to form twice Na. Whereas at anode, the 2 times chloride ions, they give Cl gas plus twice electrons. They lose 2 electrons to form chlorine gas. So product of cathode is sodium, whereas product of anode is a chlorine gas. The net cell reaction can be represented as twice Na plus 2 times Cl minus gives twice Na liquid plus Cl2 gas. Results of electrolysis, as I told you earlier, at anode pale green chlorine gas is evolved, whereas at cathode a molten silvery sodium metal is formed. Another important example of electrolysis is electrolysis of aqueous NaCl. Earlier you have seen electrolysis of molten NaCl. Now you will study about the reactions which are taking place when aqueous NaCl is taken. Aqueous means the solution of NaCl prepared in water. So construction is almost same, diagram is almost same, only there is difference in the reactions, there is difference in the electrolyte. So what is the electrolyte taken? It is moderately concentrated aqueous NaCl. Now at cathode, Na plus gains an electron to form Na solid. As NaCl is aqueous, we find water also participates in the reaction. So we find 2 times H2O, it gains 2 electrons to give H2 gas plus 2 times OH minus. But standard reduction potential of water is higher than that of sodium. So although this reaction appears to happen, the second one will dominate the first one. So only water is reduced here. If you don't show the reaction of sodium for aqueous NaCl, also it doesn't matter. Now at anode, 2 times Cl minus gives Cl gas plus Cl gas, that is Cl2 gas plus 2 electrons. Water also plays its role at anode. So twice H2O gives O2 gas plus 4 times H plus 4 electrons. Standard reduction potential of water is greater than that of Cl minus, but Cl minus gets oxidized here due to over voltage. So the reaction of water, if not represented, also will be accepted. Now let us see the net cell reaction at anode. 2 times Cl minus aqueous gives Cl2 gas plus 2 electrons, whereas at cathode twice H2O liquid gains 2 electrons to give H2 gas plus 2 times OH minus aqueous at cathode. Overall reaction, twice Cl minus aqueous plus 2 times H2O liquid gives Cl2 gas plus H2 gas plus 2 times OH minus aqueous. Electrons that are donated and that are accepted need not be shown in the overall reaction. Now the result of electrolysis, at anode pale green chlorine gas is evolved, whereas at cathode H2 gas is evolved. Now we find Na plus and Cl minus are available at cathode, so they can combine to form NaOH. Next we shift to quantitative aspects of electrolysis. Now this point is also important regarding solving of numericals based on electrolysis. All the formulas, all the relations which have been put forth in quantitative aspects need to be by heart by all the students. You have to learn them thoroughly in order to solve the problems based on electrolysis. In the textbook, directly the quantitative aspects have been put forth, but for this you must first know what are the laws of electrolysis. First is Faraday's first law of electrolysis, which states the amount of substance that undergoes oxidation or reduction at each electrode during electrolysis is directly proportional to the amount of electricity that passes through the cell. So on the basis of this particular law, we can write several quantitative aspects as follows. Quantity of electricity passed is equal to Q, that is equal to I multiplied by T. That means Q is equal to IT, where Q is recorded in coulombs, I that is current in amperes, and T time in seconds. Next we see moles of electrons passed. We can calculate moles of electrons passed by taking Q upon 96500, that is Q divided by 96,500 coulomb per mole electron. Third point, mole ratio. Mole ratio can be calculated by taking the ratio of moles of product formed in half reaction divided by moles of electrons required in the half reaction. Number of moles of product formed can be calculated by taking number of moles of electrons actually passed multiplied by mole ratio. So that mole ratio can be also written as number of moles of product formed can also be written as QC upon 96,500 coulomb per mole electron multiplied by mole ratio, which is also equal to current multiplied by time divided by 96,500 multiplied by mole ratio. Now, number of moles of substance can be calculated by taking the ratio of weight of substance to the molar mass of that substance. Finally, mass of the product can be calculated by taking the relation moles of product multiplied by its molar mass, which is also equal to I multiplied by T upon 96,500 multiplied by mole ratio multiplied by molar mass of the product. Now we shift to Faraday's second law of electrolysis. Before studying the quantitative aspects of electrolysis based on this law, let us study what is Faraday's second law of electrolysis. When same quantity of electricity is passed through different cells containing different electrolytes and arranged in series, the amount of substance is oxidized or reduced at the respective electrodes are directly proportional to their chemical equivalent masses. Now, chemical equivalent masses means equivalent mass of that particular substance, which can be calculated by taking atomic weight or atomic mass divided by valency. Now, specs. When two cells are connected in series and same quantity of electricity is passed through them, the masses of substances liberated at their electrodes can be related as, let W1 and W2 be the masses of those substances taken respectively. M1 and M2 be molar masses of those substances. Then W1 will be equal to Q upon 96,500 multiplied by mole ratio 1 multiplied by M1. So we get W1 upon mole ratio 1 into M1, that is equal to Q upon 96,500. Let us consider this as equation number 1. Similarly, for the second substance, we can write W2 upon mole ratio 2 into M2, that is equal to Q upon 96,500. Let us call this as equation number 2. Now comparing equation 1 and equation 2, we get W1 upon mole ratio 1 into M1, that is equal to W2 upon mole ratio 2 into M2. So today you have studied about quantitative aspects of electrolysis. Although Faraday's first law and second law of electrolysis have not been placed in the new text, you should know about these laws, but learn the quantitative aspects in detail. Now another two important points on the basis of which MCQs, that is multiple choice questions, can be asked. So you should know what is a Coulomb. You must be knowing about Coulomb. It is indicated with capital letter C. It is considered to be the smaller unit of charge. The amount of electricity that passes a given point when 1 ampere current flows for 1 second is called as Coulomb. Next electrical unit that is also important is a bigger unit of charge, which is called as Faraday. The amount of electric charge on 1 mole of electrons is called a Faraday. So 1 Faraday is equal to 96,500 coulombs. 1 mole electron corresponds to 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb multiplied by Avogadro's number, that is 6.022 into 10 raised to 23, which the product when taken, it gives you 96,473 coulomb, which is approximately equal to 96,500 coulomb. Finally, today's exercise. Learn the quantitative aspects of electrolysis thoroughly. Answer the following. State Colrock's law of independent migration of ions. 1 mark question. Define cell constant and write its SI unit. 2 marks. Define electrolysis. 1 mark. What is molar conductivity at infinite dilution? How is it determined for strong electrolytes? 2 marks. What is an electrolytic cell? Write the electrode reactions during electrolysis of molten NaCl. 3 marks. Thank you.